Hi, I'm Caz Parker for MMH, the home of rock radio, joined today by the awesome Jack J Hutchinson. Thank you for catching up with me. How are you doing?
I'm really good. How are you?
I'm jaded, actually, if I'm being honest, but thanks for asking. Yeah, hard weekend partying at Hard Rock House. So
Well, I think we've both had quite similar weekends, haven't we,
yeah,
really?
we're
You've
both
been
in
at,
beanie hats. This is almost like hangover beanie hat, isn't it? It makes you feel comfy and nice. You don't have to do your hair so nicely.
this is the post-tour outfit, actually, where I just sort of curl up on the sofa with my beanie hat on and watch sci-fi movies. But you were at HRH, weren't you? And I was on
Yeah,
tour this weekend. So, yeah,
yeah.
we've both got that kind of Tom Waits tone to our voices, I think,
We
today.
have.
So.
Let's call it sexy. I think that works better. So yeah. So you were in Bedford last night, one last show, and then a little gap of about a week and a half, and then back on it with three more dates, isn't it?
Yeah, it's weird because we've sort of had a big chunk of the dates all in one go. I mean, a lot of this tour was originally scheduled to just be sort of 14, 15 dates over a 2-week period, but because it kept getting rescheduled,
Yeah, of course.
just trying to fit it in around like literally every other band being on tour at the same time. So the dates have been a bit kind of basically the tour route has looked like what's that Mr. Man called? The one that looks like spaghetti. It's been a little bit like that.
Mr. Messi.
Yeah, Mr. Messi. Yeah. So not the best in terms of the route, but I mean, it's nice to have a week and a half off, but actually, you kind of get into the mode where you after 14 gigs in, you are feeling a little bit like, oh my God, where am I today? But once you're on stage, you're just absolutely cooking as a band. So
Yeah.
that was great in Bedford last night. It's one of the best gigs of the tour so far.
Well, it's been your longest tour as well, hasn't it? From what I read, the longest tour you've ever done.
Yeah, it's the longest headline tour that I've done. So
Okay.
with that is a kind of added pressure, I think, that we've done long tours previously, particularly actually in other countries. I've done long tours of like Spain several times.
Okay.
And when we went to Brazil, we were on the road there for about a month and a half. But this is a different sort of kettle of fish because it's all the pressure is on me in sort of a lot of the places that I've played over numerous years, just to kind of be the headline act, and it's different. So I've enjoyed it though. It's been good.
Well, that's good. Well, I'll tell you what, I feel like I'm already going off track because I've got my little plan here. But we first met at Rocking the Bowl, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
And we chatted for a very, very long time about music, life, the world, pretty much everything. So, and I was saying earlier, I'm going to try and keep this on track a little bit because we can both talk and we know it. So, people having a short attention span, so we'll try and keep them very, very interested and talk about all the exciting stuff that's coming up. So yeah, what I haven't said is it's the Hammer Falls tour, and it's called that because we've got an album coming out as well, haven't we? So not until February though.
Yeah, the logic of naming the tour that and then the album not coming out until February. I mean, the album was originally supposed to come out this month.
Yeah,
and various sort of things occurred that delayed it. Main two reasons were that the vinyl manufacturing was delayed, so we were told that we wouldn't get the vinyl until January. And so I spoke to the distributor, and it didn't seem logically to make sense to put it all out on digital and CD and then essentially wait 3 months. So they were like, well, wait and just do it all together. But then fortuitously, because of that, we ended up working on an extra track with Kevin Shirley, who's worked with Iron Maiden and Led Zeppelin and Joe Bonamassa and all these great artists.
That's amazing.
So we've done this other track. So it's kind of worked out really well because we wouldn't have been able to do that had the album come out this month. So slight delay, but it just means that, people can hear all the songs before it comes out and learn all the lyrics,
Well, that's it. Well, you've released 2 singles already, haven't you? So basically Call of the Wild's already out. Straight to Hell just came out for Halloween. And I mean, you were already working with fabulous producers and mixers, weren't you? So mixed by Josiah J. Manning, who's worked with Inglorious and Chris Barris Band as well, which is pretty damn cool.
Yeah.
So I've had a sneak preview of the album actually. So
have you? I haven't. No, I'm joking.
I've had a little sneak preview, and I did read your thoughts on it, and you describe it as your most personal record to date, with hard-hitting heavy riffs and guitar solos, but with lyrics and melodies that will hopefully move people. And you say it's a banger, which is one of my favorite expressions anyway. I'm always saying that on my radio shows. It's a banger. I think it's got a bluesy feel as well, and it's really groovy too. That's what I would add to that. And I think my personal faves, now I haven't had it in my possession for very long, so I've played it through a couple of times, but my personal faves: Down by the River, The Hammer Falls, The Raven's Crow, World on Fire, and What Doesn't Kill You Makes You Stronger, which is a little bit how I feel about the amount of shots I did this weekend.
Yeah, that's what that song's about, actually. It's
is
about
it
recovering from getting drunk. No, I don't know.
no,
Yeah,
we can all relate
that's
somehow. It's what you make of it, isn't it? We can all relate.
Yeah. Yeah,
But yeah, so I was
really
going to say, I'll shut up. You tell everybody basically just why they should be pre-ordering it now, what to be excited about, because they don't have the luxury I do of some little sneak previews other than the singles as they come out. So go for it. This is your chance. Sell it to the people.
Well, it's interesting, those songs that you just named, because we've sort of given a variety of different tracks their live debuts on this tour, and it's good to chat to people after the gigs and hear their responses to the songs.
Yeah.
And the title track, The Hammer Falls, has probably been the one that people have really got into live.
Yeah.
And also Down by the River, which has got this sort of monstrous Sabbath riff, which is just so easy and fun to play live. You just I play it in a sort of open D tuning, and you just smack that guitar and it's got this rumble on stage, and it's just very powerful. I think that one of the things I tried to really work on with this record was lyrics. I think the lyrics in the past sometimes were, I don't know how to describe it really in any other way, that they weren't quite as personal, but they were sort of lyrics that sounded cool in my head. So you kind of come up with choruses that, I don't know, they sort of worked in a certain way. But with this new record, I tried to really focus on getting the vocals and the lyrics to be the best that they could be. And Josiah Manning, as you mentioned, who, you know, he's in Chris Barris's band, and he's produced loads of really cracking artists. You know, worked with Inglorious. He's done the Sons of Liberty record. Him and Josh Norton Cox, who was the engineer working with us, who he kind of started off as the engineer, but then moved into more of a production role. They really did work with me to push the vocals and also my guitar playing, because I kind of realized in my previous records, like, we'd spend weeks perfecting the drums and the bass, and then I'd just go in and blast through the guitar and the vocals and do it really quickly. So with this album, we tried to focus a little bit more on that and make it more of a guitar record.
Yeah. Well, it does come across. It is definitely. I mean, the guitars are epic. They really are. And you know what? I think you, as an artist, when you're writing more and more music, you will mature and it will get a bit deeper or a bit more technical, or the lyrics will improve over time. You know, if you look at most bands, the first albums are usually very commercial, and like you say, maybe very easy lyrics, sort of stuff that's kind of comes to you in any context. And then as you establish yourself, I think that's where you can bring a bit more of yourself into it and maybe go a bit deeper, maybe take a bit more time over it as well, who knows. But like you say, it's definitely got a bit more of the personal touch. And so hopefully people will love it. I'm sure they will.
I think that, you know, obviously the situation that we've all found ourselves in over the last 18 months, without being able to tour, it afforded me more time to spend on the songwriting process. And I'm sure that's a similar thing that a lot of musicians will say at the moment, that a lot of my previous records were written either on the road or in short gaps between touring, and particularly over the last 2 or 3 years, where touring became, you know, my livelihood, and it became a really important element of my life. So I wrote songs that justified off my last album. I remember writing that at sort of 2 a.m. in the accommodation I was staying at in Moscow. I'd gone to Russia to do some dates. Nice. And I just, after gigs, I've got a lot of adrenaline, and I really struggle to sleep. So you write songs. Whereas this time,
absolutely, why not?
You know, you end up writing, I think, better songs, because you can really get into the sort of nitty gritty with it, but also take them in a different direction that perhaps you wouldn't normally do. Yeah.
And I suppose this the last 18 months, like you say, that time is it was a good thing to channel it, because you could either have taken a break, couldn't you, and gone, what's the point if I can't tour it? Or you can channel it right back into the music. And we've all been in a different headspace. And again, some of the stuff that's come out during this time has been written from that different headspace. But again, who would have thought the entire world would be going through something, the same thing at the same time, you know, a pandemic? None of us have been through that in our lifetimes. So people are likely to be able to relate to each other more over this and over stuff that's been written during this time and what everybody's been going through than perhaps ever. So it's interesting. But again, at the same time, you don't want the whole record to be about COVID and lockdown. You just want it to be from the heart of where you were during that time.
I think that was a conscious decision on my part, was to not write about the pandemic.
No.
And write about personal things. And you can write about emotions, so it becomes more of a sort of overarching vibe rather than making it really literal and saying, you know, there's a lot of albums, I suppose, that are coming out at the moment which do deal with that, and I just didn't want to do it with my record, because in 5 years you want to listen. I still want to be playing these songs in 5 years. Of course you do,
yeah.
I don't want to be singing about the bloody lockdown. It was rubbish. So,
and plus, that's the point. Part of this is a release from it. That's the point, isn't it? That is exactly what it is. It's to take us all back to a much better place. So does it feel weird then being back out and touring? Did it feel weird when you first went back out, or did it feel like you were just putting on an old pair of comfy pants and you were straight back into it, like the last 18 months had never happened?
Well, I'll tell you what, and I've not actually said this in any interviews yet because I didn't want to say it until I'd done my tour, but I actually got COVID about three weeks before the tour. So the first, I'd say 2 weeks of my tour were really difficult. And I was doing shows and I was taking a lot of drugs actually to get me through the gigs. And I was just suffering from massive fatigue. And I remember we did a show in Liverpool, and we did that Liverpool show, and then we had like a week and a half off. And after that, I was okay. But that Liverpool show, I basically collapsed after the gig. I was like, oh my God. But I'd been building up towards this tour for so long, I just didn't want to cancel it. And so getting COVID 3 weeks before the first date was a bit of a nightmare. But so I can look back on that period and think, well, I actually be really proud of the fact that we still managed to do the gigs.
Yeah.
You know, it's good because I've now once I felt better, I've just really appreciated all the other shows because I feel great. And so like, I think back to those first 4 shows and think, how the hell did I do that? Like these new songs as well, they're all at like 170 BPM, like really quick songs. Maybe if I was going through my Nick Drake phase, it would have been easier. So yeah, I didn't tell anybody. I didn't want to put anything on social media because I didn't want it to become about, oh, Jack's ill and he's managing to do the tour. So anyway, I got through it, and here we are. And I've really enjoyed the experience. And as you say, it would have been hard anyway, I think, because you kind of lose your tour fitness, which is a bit bonkers because your tour fitness usually involves eating Ginster's pasties at 2 a.m. at the services. But it's the physical and mental strength to be moving around to different places all the time. And the first night of the tour, you know, you go out and you do your first night, and hopefully it's a great show.
Yeah.
But then you go out the next, you got to do it all again. So that's one of the weirdest things. Like we've done sporadic gigs over the last year, but doing them in a sequence is really tricky because you need to be on it every single night. So yeah, but it got better and better and better. And then we played Bedford last night, and it was absolutely amazing. One of the best shows we've ever done. It was just really, really good. So that's awesome.
What a way to finish this leg of it before you embark on the last 3 dates. That's nice.
Absolutely, yeah.
Nice finisher. That's what you needed. All right, cool. Well, it sounds like we've covered so much stuff there, and I've already got a secret little sneaky exclusive about the COVID, but I just wondered, obviously we've got an album to look forward to. Any other secret things to look forward to that no one else knows about?
Well, we're about to do, as you say, the last 3 dates on the tour. But then we're on the 18th of this month, I'm going to announce what will be you know, the album launch, it will be in London in February, but I can't reveal the exact location, but it'll be the biggest headline gig that I've ever done in this country. So I'm looking forward to that.
Amazing.
And we've also, I mentioned Kevin Shirley earlier on, who works on that track. Following working on that track, I chatted to Kevin about doing some more stuff with him, and we've done a little bit more with Kevin that will hopefully come out as a EP later next year. So, and that's just been an absolute honor for me to work with not just a producer, obviously his stature, but I remember probably one of the first albums I ever bought was By Your Side by the Black Crowes, which he produced, and 9 Lives by Aerosmith. And so to have him, you know, 23 years later working on my stuff, it just means an incredible amount. So that's exciting stuff after the album later next year.
I feel like I asked a good question there. I'm pleased with that. But yeah, you do get, it's lovely when you still get these pinch yourself moments as well, isn't it? So actually, I'm going to ask you a question, because you are a musician, you are a hero for many. Have you ever met any of your musical heroes? Or more importantly, have you ever met any of your musical heroes that have made you starstruck? So not just who have you met, because you've probably met loads of them, but has anyone actually made you go proper fanboy?
The number one is when I met Jimmy Page, and
Holy
Jimmy
shit.
Page has been, you know, like, well, he still is my hero. Like one of the first things I did today when I got back from the tour was I watched a bit of Song Remains the Same. I must have watched that film about 2,000 times now, but yeah, I mean, I met him at the O2 about 5 years ago. I played at the O2 for Blues Fest, and it was you know, we were on like the second stage in the main foyer early on in the day.
Yeah.
And we were given these kind of wristbands to hang out and stuff.
Yeah.
And we were in the main bit backstage, and I remember Van Morrison was on stage. I'm not a massive Van Morrison fan actually, but so I was like, I'm going to go back to the backstage bit.
Yeah.
So I'm walking around the back, and there's like this silhouette of this guy walking towards me, no one else around. And it's Jimmy Page with his girlfriend. And I just was like, I tried to be cool actually, and it was like, you know, hey man, how you doing? And he was super nice, and he was very friendly, and we shook hands, and I told him how much his music had meant to me.
Yeah.
So I actually got away with playing it quite cool there. But then as soon as I got into the backstage bit and my band were there, I actually dropped on the floor and on my knees. I was like, I've just met Jimmy Page.
Yeah.
And so I think I managed to pull it off, but I was totally awestruck when that occurred. Yeah.
Well, and rightly so as well. That's pretty blooming awesome. But I know I love hearing about the old starstruck instances, because we meet so many people that are really down to earth and stuff. But I kind of still love having a proper fangirl moment. I think it keeps your adrenaline going. It makes you still love it so much. It's just brilliant. It's all right, everybody being down to earth and lovely, but sometimes you want to meet someone who's rock star all the way and just, you know.
Yeah. But it's funny because you meet people like Jimmy Page, who you think about his body of work and his artistry, it's incredible. But then you meet people who are like nowhere near his level, and they're just full of themselves, and you're like, okay. Like Rob Blackham, who has done, you know, my photography for a few years, and he's worked with some major names. And I remember when Rob, he was booked to do Slash, and he was doing some photography for Slash, and he talked about how nice he was, and he was just a really cool guy. And we were at Download actually, and we were supposed to be meeting up after, was it Aerosmith? I don't know. But Rob was like, I'm not going to be able to make it, man, because I've been invited to hang with Slash backstage and Miles Kennedy. And I was like, you know what, Rob, you go for it, man. And that's what I like to hear, is when these people that I've been so influenced by are just cool people. Yeah. And he could be so up his own arse. He's just a top bloke, it seems. So that's nice to hear.
Yeah, definitely. It really, really is. I'd love to meet him. Anyway, all right then. So if there was going to be a film made about your life, seeing as you love The Song Remains the Same so much, who would you want to play you?
Well, I think it would be quite boring to have a film about like the finished product of us on stage. So it would be better to have a comedy film about me and the guys on tour in a Spinal Tap sense.
Yes.
And one of my favorite comedies is actually The Three Amigos. So maybe we could just get the actors that played the Three Amigos. I could be played by Chevy Chase, I think. That would be much more funny. I don't know, it'd be interesting because the whole other side of it, like when you're on stage, it's about 10% of it. Yeah. But all the other stuff, like I'll give you an example. In Bedford yesterday, I was essentially like at one stage like a parking attendant trying to navigate all these splitter vans from the other acts and I just was like, sure, when I got into this like 15 years ago, I didn't envisage I'd just be like a car park attendant, really.
Yeah, you thought you'd be in a limo, didn't you?
Yeah, I thought I'd be a glamorous lead singer, but reality bites. So I don't know.
That's brilliant. I love it. So who would you get to have to play the soundtrack then to this movie?
What, like another band doing the soundtrack?
Yes. Yeah. Ooh, anyone you like. Budget's no issue because this is a made-up scenario. So
they'd be writing new songs, would they? Or would it just be like...
I think you're asking too many questions here. Sorry, yeah. But let's say...
And how long would the songs be?
Yeah, let's not overthink it. Just pick who you would love to play the soundtrack. I think it's Led Zeppelin, but that's only from this short interview and that's short time I've been talking to you. But
I think I have to be careful to not just
or Spinal Tap.
This obsessive Zepp fan, but that's the truth actually. So yeah, Zepp would be great.
Or we could have Spinal Tap. Maybe they could dual play it. Perhaps a bit of both.
Zepp or Sabbath, actually. Sabbath would be cool as well.
Sabbath would be cool as well, definitely. All right then, so I'm going to ask you a couple of random questions and then I'll let you go. So what about then if, this is an interesting one, if you could have a superhero power, which one would you have? And you can make a new one up if you want.
Well, it's interesting you say this because on the way back today, I called in to see my mum in Loughborough and she's had these old home movies transferred onto DVD and I've never seen this stuff. And there's this clip of me dressed up as Superman when I was about 3. Oh. So Superman was always my favorite superhero, but he's naff because he's got all the powers basically.
Everything. It's actually it's too easy an option that is because you just of course you'd want to be him.
It'd be like one element of his power, which would be the ability to travel at light speed. So I'm not spending 8 hours a day in a van when we're on tour. That would be a pretty cool superpower.
All right, that would solve a lot of problems, definitely.
Yeah.
I reckon so. All right, let's do a couple of would you rathers then. Would you rather have, this is just the random section, by the way, in case anyone wonders, I haven't really I like a random section. For the right person, I think, pull a few randoms out. Would you rather have the General Lee or Knight Rider's kit as your car?
Oh, I was a big fan of Knight Rider actually. So yeah. Although I'd probably want the voice to be changed to something else, I think.
Yeah, I've asked that question before and you're not the first person to say that. You're not the first person to say he was a little bit annoying, wasn't he? The old car voice. What was its name? Did it have a name? It was just Kit.
It was just Kit, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't think the character that played the voice had a name, did it? But I always think Kit would be really cool because for a start, auto drive. So you could get drunk. Yeah. Car drives you home. Brilliant. And turbo boost. Who doesn't want that?
You couldn't fit a Marshall stack in there though, could you really? That's
You'd
the problem.
Struggle. You would struggle. Yeah.
Strap it to the roof, maybe that would be the solution.
You know what I should have done? I should have put the 18 van in the question, shouldn't I?
Oh, I would have gone for the 18 van actually. Yeah.
All right. Well, maybe I'll revise the question for future reference. But there we go. So we've got alternative answer, everybody.
Send through the evaluation form after the interview.
Yeah. You can fill it in and tell me what worked, what didn't work. These are questions I'd rather you've asked. Would you rather I ask these questions or some others? Don't answer that. All right, then. A couple of really silly ones for you then, because I feel like it. Would you rather cry every time you have sex or burp every time someone kisses you?
Would I rather?
Yeah.
Ooh,
you've got to choose one or the other. Your life depends on it right now.
Burping's pretty disgusting, so let's go with the crying during sex. Yeah.
So sensitive. All right, this one's much more simple. Would you rather have ball bags for eyelids or a willy for a nose?
What are you trying to say? I don't look that bad. I've been on the road for a month. I haven't deteriorated that much. Ball bags for eyelids.
Yeah, or a Willy for a nose.
I was about to say something really crass then. I better keep my gob shut. Let's go with a Willy for the nose. Because I could hide it in my beard, actually, so it wouldn't look so bad.
That's a good point, yeah. Your sunglasses might fall off it, but then again, maybe they wouldn't.
Well, it depends on how excited you were, doesn't it?
Do you know what? And also, we don't need to start overthinking the exact size and shape of it either, do we? Because, yeah, these are supposed to be quick fire questions. Go on, this one's the weirdest question you're ever going to be asked. Would you rather have a 12-inch belly button that sways to the music or accordions for legs?
Well, do you know what? The next album is probably going to be that, like, the difficult third or fourth album, isn't it? So let's have the accordion for legs. You know, you just lose the plot completely, and you're like, you know, let's have some accordion on this one. Yeah, that'll be a good idea.
Brilliant. And you won't even have to employ anyone, because you'll just be dancing around and your legs will do all the work.
Absolutely, yeah. Let's do that. Good.
Perfect.
It's a horrible vision I've got right now. Accordions for legs with a cock on my nose. I don't know. It's true. I have to say, I've never done an interview quite like this, Caz. You know,
sorry, I know. Well, I've been not pushing the boundaries for the last couple of interviews. I've kept it a little bit more sane, but I thought, I quite like doing the random section. I think people get to know your personality a little bit more that way.
Yeah, and it's more interesting than that. You know, when people go, so, you know, why is this song so great? And you just kind of, like, I don't know. It's much more fun to talk about ball bags for eyelids, isn't it?
Isn't
really?
It is. Yeah. And I find my own questions hilarious, if I'm being honest. So I'd watch this interview.
Yeah.
Okay, one final one. This isn't the most exciting, would you rather, but if Netflix were going to make a series about your life, would you rather they got their material from interviews with your exes or hidden cameras in your house? Ooh, which one?
Well, actually, hidden cameras in my house would be really quite boring, because basically they'd just have footage of me sitting around in my lounge pants watching Blade Runner or Aliens or something like that. It would not be very exciting. So interviews with my exes might be a bit more fruity.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right, we'll check that in for the film of your life as well then. So I think that's got to be a must. It's got to happen, I think.
I might have to change the soundtrack though. Might have some Nick Cave now instead. I don't know.
Yeah, or the Halloween theme tune or something.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Psycho. I mean, I'm not judging. I'm just saying maybe. All right, finally, one last question. If you had to offer a piece of wisdom or advice which you would give to people who are watching this interview right now to help them stay happy and positive, what would that be?
I think actually just not allowing external forces to distract you from your kind of vision of where you want to go. Oh. That's something that's taken quite a long time for me in my life to realize that I can't define me by what other people think. And actually, that's quite a recent thing. And I think I actually judged success on what other people thought of me. And actually now, maybe it's something that happens when you get a bit older, where you care less about what other people think. And you think, you know what? I'm happy with who I've become, and I'm happy with my album or whatever it might be. And as long as it means something to me, that's enough. So, yeah.
I think that's lovely. And I think you're right. It does come with a bit of maturity when you stop. And it feels like a weight's been lifted when you stop caring quite so much how people see you and stuff. And you can just, as long as you carry on being a good person and not upsetting anybody on purpose at the same time, if you just do you, that's actually quite a good thing, especially in your job and what you do. You might as well just concentrate on it and stop judging what everybody else might think. That's when the best stuff happens.
I had a really magic moment a couple of nights ago. We played in Gravesend, and there's a song that we do called "I Will Follow You," which I wrote about my dad, who's got Alzheimer's. And a lady came up to me after the show, and she held my hand, and she literally didn't let my hand go for about 2 minutes, and she was just talking about how that song had impacted her. And I suppose that is an external force that inevitably moves you. And
yeah,
I found that really emotional. So there are moments where you are impacted by what other people think. But actually, yeah, you need to just be true to yourself, really.
yeah.
Which sounds a bit cliche, doesn't it? But I didn't think like that 10 years ago. I was like, did Classic Rock Magazine review me? You know, and they did review me. But it does mean a lot. But you've got to just be happy with what you achieve and what your goals are for yourself. Otherwise, you're never going to be happy, really.
No, exactly. And I think that little story told about that lady, that's a different thing, because that's her just giving you some amazing feedback. And that you're entitled for that to feel good. That's not about seeking out other people's approval. That's just a lovely situation, in my opinion. That's a slightly different thing. So but I think you're right. I think you know, if you spend your time worrying about who's going to review you, what they're going to say, it's going to hold you back. So yeah, there we go. See, people learn something as well. It's not just a silly interview in parts. We also talk about sensible stuff and help people with their lives too.
I know, it's the emotion shift at the end of that interview from cock noses and ball bag eyelids to you know, that's what it's all about, music, isn't it? And it encapsulates a whole range of emotions, doesn't it?
It turns out interviews can as well. So there we go.
Yeah.
Well, listen, thank you so much, because I did say I'd keep this on track, didn't I, for time? And I think I'm hoping we've held everybody's attention spans, because it's been a really interesting interview, in my opinion. I think you've been fabulous. And thank you so much. Thanks for everybody for watching. Thank you for catching up with me. It has been marvelous. I'm surprised we got through it, considering we were both out this weekend working very hard. But if everybody has enjoyed this interview as much as I have, don't forget 2 things. There's 3 more dates, and I've got them written down: London, St Austell and Inverness. So don't forget to go and buy tickets. And also, while you're at it, when you finish watching this, go and pre-order The Hammer Falls right now, or you'll have me and Jack to answer to.
It's very good, you know.
Yeah, I think so too. So yeah, there you go. You won't be disappointed, people. Thank you so much. I've been Caz Parker. You've been Jack J Hutchinson. It's been brilliant. Thank you so much.
Cheers, Caz. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.